Truth burns like fire. You can hear the crowd lean closer when the shadows start to fade. There's no spin, no silver soldier, just the echo of what's real today. And I've been waiting for this all my life, to see the light behind the noise. Yeah, I've been waiting for the night to strike. Tailspin rolls, we find our voice. Tailspin on X tonight. No spin, just truth, just light. You can feel that pulse ignite. At 7 p.m. we rise tonight. There's a hum behind the data, a code that won't lie still. You can dress the truth in makeup, but the light cuts through the veil, it will. And I've been waiting for this all my life, to hear the sound that breaks the lie. Yeah, I've been waiting for this fire inside. Tailspin calls and we testify.
the people in the IC, like in people who want to keep the lid on and don't want for catastrophic disclosure floodgates to open, they're underestimating how much intel people who are being fed intel by handlers, how much intel they can get by being in the right wrong space at the right time. And I think we need to become aware of that power and push it way further. I really do. I think if Alan was hanging around our spaces a couple months ago, he would have had a very different reception of the NRB conference, whatever it was. Does that make sense? And I think he's realizing that.
No, that makes sense, and I think I mean, I know I did. I'm gonna be honest. I know when I first had person I've ever had on for UFO community was Astral, right? And I'm like, he was talking about stuff. I'm like, I don't really know if I buy into this. My mother was an experiencer, and I was kind of joked around with her. And he was actually the first to warn me, yo, you're gonna start having issues with your phone. Your phone's gonna heat up. You're gonna have glitches, all these crazy things. I'm like, no, come on, this stuff ain't real, right? And I kind of had that stereotypical view of the UFO community, kind of like you see at like some of those conferences. They're dressed up as grays, they have like beam me up. That was what I thought the UFO X community was about until I started to jump into these space and I said, no, none of these people are like that. Even the ones you talk about, Doom, are like the Love and Lighters, still not like that. Still very rational, logical, have great conversations, great information. I might disagree with them, but not the stereotypical that you would think when you see it on TV. And I think like even Fox News and Jesse Waters still, when he has these people on, he's laughing and smiling, smirking, like, "Oh, this isn't real. This is a joke." Blah, blah. But you guys bring a different take, and you have so much knowledge on the topic from all angles. It's I don't know how you don't get sucked in and enjoy the conversations, even when it's going back and forth between what people think it is. You still learn something, and I just think it's amazing, and I think he's seen that. I think he might have been a little skeptical when he jumped in that one time, and then Red Panda helped him out, um, coming into the spaces with Daz, like, "Oh boy, I'm going to UFO X. Oh boy, what is this gonna be like?" And I think you're right, I think he actually enjoyed the conversation. Um, I watched several of his videos, his YouTube videos, and he didn't really like when someone would ask a question, he'd be like, "Oh, go back and see the video before." So I thought we were gonna get some of that, and we didn't. He answered every single question, um, respectfully, regardless of who it was. And like Dad's ended his space, he didn't pitch his own YouTube channel through the whole 2.5 hours until the very end when Dad's mentioned. I mean, Prometheus and spoke about it. He never mentioned it once. He never tried to shill his own um, church, his own following, or his own YouTube channel, which that says a lot right then and there, right?
Yeah, I totally agree, man. And just briefly, I want to touch on what you're saying. We have all the ingredients to put legacy media and even some podcasters and the YouTubers to shame. And we've been throwing away that potential. And we need to put them, maybe not the podcasters, they should be our friends. I want them to come into spaces and learn from us, but the legacy media, we need to humiliate them by doing a better job.
Absolutely, and I think we do a better job. Um, Now that know as much, like I don't know half of what you guys know, but when I listen to anyone in mainstream media talking about this subject, I'm like, no, that's wrong. Wait, no, that's wrong. No, wait, that's wrong. And the first time I actually experienced that was when I was doing the deep dive in 3A Atlas, and Fox News had some random YouTube guy on there I've never even heard of, and he didn't even know what the hell he was talking about. I'm sitting there going, how the hell did this guy end up on Fox News for crying out loud? That should be me. That should be me. Uh, but you guys know what I'm talking about because I'm sure you've had the same thing watching some of these shows. Like, where did they find these freaking people? Like, is this a setup? Are these like government uh psyops? Like, what made you pick this? And of course, the guy, as AIM would say, looked like he smelled like hot dog water, right? He never leaves his basement, hasn't showered in weeks, doesn't wear deodorant, hair all messed up, like totally discreditable. And I'm like, it had to be done on purpose. It had to be done purposely. Go ahead, Data.
I hate to backtrack just a tiny bit, but I brought up the liminal entities, boundary walkers, and briefly just said cybernetics. And the dude read between my lines, and he like gave a full throated explanation of what he thought. Right, I was super impressed. But you're correct. Like questions that like the panel that comes up and asks, and those kinds of like fully prepared, like intellectually responses that he gave, like you're not going to see that on Fox News. You're not going to see that on CNN. And generally, you're not going to see that too much on podcasts. So we do have a lot of opportunity.
No, you're right. You're gonna get maybe on mainstream media 5 minutes. It's all gonna be clipped. It's all gonna be strategic on what questions are asked. And as soon as he starts getting into detail, they're gonna cut him off and hit him with another question to change direction. And the same thing with a lot of podcasts. You don't know what was edited out. YouTube, even though they do the long form. Like in here, there's no editing. It's live, baby. And you can get a lot of good information live because someone might say something they didn't intend to. Um, and those are clippable things. And that's something for those of you in the group, we're going to talk about that on Saturday. So that you don't want to miss that Saturday phone call. Uh, but we got some pretty exciting things I think is going to really help us out in the UFO community, put us on the map. So I'm pretty excited about that.
And Matt,
But man,
that's what makes it dangerous. If you get a 15-second pause live in a space, it's way different than like a 7-second pause in a podcast, right? Like that whole pause could be manufactured in a podcast. I remember when somebody brought up the portals about Giorgiani and I followed up on it. And the longest pause we ever got from Giorgiani ever in any interview was in that space, in that Doom space that Fringe hosted. And you could hear his gears grinding. You could hear him doing the math of like, all right, the longer I wait, the more it's going to be obvious that I maybe had some portal experience or whatever. You could hear the math going on in his head, and that can only happen live, right? Like that's what makes the conversations dangerous.
Like sometimes in my spaces when I'm like, I bring up experiencers or tech people or science people or all kinds of different people. Sometimes, like somebody will say something and I don't respond immediately. 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds goes by. They're like, "Are you going to respond?" I'm like, "No, sorry. I was actually thinking and considering what you just said. Just give me a moment."
So this space reminded me of the Giorgiani space too, Ulrich, where he gave us an hour, but he stayed for 6. And I think that speaks to the level of spaces we're having. I mean, he had a good time. He had fun. He is very interested in reaching outside the community of his church. And I give him a lot of credit for that. I mean, it takes a lot to go into to any environment, and especially like Matt pointed out, it's live, and just answer any live question that comes your way. I mean, that takes a lot of confidence. And I think he was very well prepared. He was well read on the topic. I was very impressed with him. But he had a good time. So remember, this is a gentleman who we have to go through his church to schedule him. He is not a free man, like he is a busy man. And he stayed even longer than was expected because he was enjoying it. He could have easily cut it off after an hour. I think he was impressed. He was impressed by the level of people asking questions. So that was great.
Perhaps except one. The one
Um,
who got dropped.
so I can't even see, you know what, Mav, a lot of times when I'm in your spaces or just spaces in general, I can't even see that someone's a speaker or that they have a hand up. I was asking Ulrich to jump in because this hypothetical question that he posed to Didio, I thought was a very interesting one. So I was hoping he would kind of expand on that just a little bit. Sorry, Andrea, are you up here with a hand up? Because I can't
That's
see
okay. I am up here, but I don't have a hand up. You can
you. Okay,
go to all-
perfect. Okay, great.
Yeah, I'll just give the brief context for it. I've heard this rumored. I've heard this from one source. I'm inclined to believe it. I myself have not seen any evidence. I don't know what the nature is of the evidence, but the claim that is made is that the military sits on scientific proof for God with the capital G. I do not know whether that is scientific proof of Jesus Christ or uh, uh, more cosmic God in general. Uh, there are there are other people who have made this claim. Um, who else made that claim? Isn't it Matthew Brown who made that claim?
Can I just say this real quick? Have you
Yeah,
read the
yeah.
Gateway Process papers? Do you know the last page that was missing was about to go into God for the Gateway Process?
I know about the missing page, and I have read the missing page. Does it say anything about God?
No, I haven't found the missing page.
I can send you the missing page. I'll make it public or something.
The page before it was like leading up to God.
Yeah, let me know what page you mean. I do have one missing page, but I don't know if it's the same one you're talking
Somehow
about.
I feel like it's
But
57.
but that's all I was told. And we do have Heidi coming into our space, and she's going to present her case for uh what could count as evidence for God. But what I wanted to say is that the people who make this claim that the military has scientific proof for God, they also happen to be, generally speaking, they happen to be Christians, and they also claim to have seen also evidence or to have knowledge of the history of the historicity of Christ, in the sense that it was genuinely a divine being that incarnated here in the flesh. Whether those two things are the same, whether we're talking about a literal, like whether we have the DNA of Christ sequenced and can therefore trace the blood lineage to Christ, or a familial fraternal line to Christ, I do not know what the nature is of that evidence or where the conviction comes from for those who are Christians via their military experience into the phenomenon. But that is something that I've seen, that there are people who have come to Christianity via allegedly the proof or their experience with the phenomenon in their history with the military. So that, and so the reason why I brought that up is because I'm personally tired and sick of all the alternative fringe people really worried that Trump is going to roll down this first class cart of alien bodies, and then they're going to present us the sequenced DNA of humans and how they engineered us and how, they came up with the, everybody's worried about too much disclosure outside of the UFO community. And I think those people should be far more worried about too much truth or intelligence being withheld. And that's why I asked that question. I wanted him to start thinking in the other direction.
Doomer, I can't believe I've known you for months. We've talked about just about everything in the world, and then you dropped that in Daz's space, and I fell off the freaking couch, and I'm like, Doomer never mentioned this to me? For crying out loud.
Oh yeah, I sit on a lot of shit. I mean, a lot of it is my own personal experience. But yeah, I mean that's why I have no problem. The religion is inseparable from the phenomenon, right?
That's true. That's true.
Hey, Doom, and all you guys, I really appreciate being part of this history of just having conversation spaces. Because even though like we're not making any kind of monetary gain, I think that's the niche about it, is that we're not doing this for money, we're not doing this for clout or rep. But being a part of it is awesome. It's helping a lot of people understand, and it's really complex. I can't even fucking solve it, and I was right there, probably touching it or interacting with it in many ways. Like you said, I grew up Catholic, but I think I was pushed into the military via either what could be NHI, MyLab kind of cooperation to convince a certain subsector of the population to kind of be more military mindset, and I think that's probably what we saw happening is we got, well, we got deals made to convince people for certain things, and that's probably where I feel I ended up, because just because of the some of the interactions and some of the themes and messages they left in my head, it feels like um, they were trying to steer me in that direction. I don't know if it's because of the Christian narrative or God or what, but it's going to be interesting if we do find out more information. That's what I'm here for sure.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, thank you.
oh, sorry, Matt.
But yeah, I did come a few months ago, or maybe even a year ago. And can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you
Talking
still.
about my experiences and some of the messages they left, like you volunteered for this or this is your mission or weird stuff like that. And people were really quick to say, "Oh, that's demonic possession." We really don't really to this day know what it is. It could be all of the above. It could be factions of groups trying to get people to be on one side or the other. I'll land there.
That is so true. I forget who it was. There was a priest who mentioned that. Like, I can't remember who he was. Catholic priest that before the souls enter the body, we're given a view of what our life is going to be like. And like always with free will, we got the choice to either accept it or not. So we know what the challenges of our lives will be, what our lives, where we'll be born, challenge we'll have to overcome, and then we're born into human flesh, and then those memories are wiped, and then we have to, with the help of the Holy Spirit, if you believe in that, work your way through life and the challenges to grow in some way or sort. Um, so yeah, that would kind of make sense, Skywalker. But maybe something was you remembered that you're being pointed this direction, or there you got the good angel, just like the cartoons. I mean, I'm dating myself. You got the old Bugs Bunny cartoons and the Woody Woodpecker. You had the devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other. I believe that's true, and I believe that's scriptural. So the problem is we don't always know which one is talking to us, right? And that's where it gets a little sketchy. Like, I think Alan had mentioned that. Pastor Alan had mentioned that as well. You don't always know who you're communicating with or who's communicating with you, and they always come across at first as the good one, and you just don't know. And that's why I know, like in the Catholic faith, and as you would know, growing up Catholic, you're told just stay away from that and just deal with Jesus and the Father. Don't, if something else comes to you and says, I'm your great grandmother, and they start giving you advice, at first it's always going to be good. And then it takes a turn. So you just don't know who you're communicating with. And I think that's the danger. But
Right.
absolutely, I think we're contacted. I think so. Um, like, where does your thought come from? You're mowing the grass and all of a sudden you get a thought, right? Where did that thought come from? Is that our thought? Is that like a thought giving to us from something else? What generates that thought when you're doing something that's totally different, right? It just pops in your head, boom. And it could be good, it could be bad. Yo, you could be like at work and be like, yo, I want to go to a strip club. Probably not the good guy. Something pops in the head, says, yo, on the way home, you should probably grab the wife some flowers or something, or give your mom a call. You could probably say those are probably come from a good point of view, but where do those thoughts even generate from? Randomly. So it's just kind of crazy. Go ahead, Doomer.
Oh, go to Andrew first. She had her hand up before me.
Are you sure? Well,
Yeah.
actually, I have a
Yes.
question for Fringe. I posted in the comments of Daz's space that I find that increasingly as we get closer to whatever it is we're getting closer to, I actually seek out Fringe in spaces more, and I seek out her perspective a lot more. So thank you for that, Fringe. While I was listening in that space, both to Pastor DiDio and to Fringe, um, I thought of, and this is no shade whatsoever on Pastor Allen, but I wished that he had more information, the grand amount of information that someone like Fringe has. Um, I maybe bristled when he talked about the 4 alien races because I hear that as propaganda. Yes, we may have 4 races, we may have 40 races. I mean, we don't know. That's just kind of the talking points at the moment. Fringe, what information do you wish Pastor Allen had about the UFO phenomenon, about the phenomenon in general, that he just doesn't have yet because he hasn't been in this as deeply and as for so long as the rest of us, you especially?
Oh, thanks, Andrew. I really appreciate that. So if I'm remembering correctly, he's talking about the 4 alien races because that's the information he was given during the meeting. So if you guys could even go back to a couple of the podcasts. So Tony Merkel, who I consider a friend, he's not just like some random guy on X or on the confessionals. I consider him a friend. And then Alan and a couple of the other pastors, they actually did quite a few podcasts on this topic about the information that came out of this meeting. If you look through my timeline, I have Jamie Walden on there who's quoted, and he's talking about the human trafficking and how all of this is related to occult rituals. We are sacrificing our children to these entities in order to get technology. That's the short story. Um, and that's where the 4 entities came up. That's the intelligence he got from the pastors' meeting. When it comes to what I wish Alan knew, I would love to talk to Alan about. Um, I put a post out not too long ago because he was saying that, in generally speaking, the church is ready for this, and I could not disagree more. The church is absolutely not ready for this. My timeline is full of Christians who, with so much vitriol and hatred towards someone like me, someone like Megan, who's in the space, the Christian abductees, because again, this interpretation that everything is a demon. Is it demonic? Yes, I think it's all demonic, by the way. That doesn't mean I don't believe in good non-humans that we would call angels. But everything we're dealing with, in my personal opinion, is demonic. The spectrum that I've dealt with is demonic. All of the experiences that I hear about, with very, very few exceptions, on the people who write to me and the people I hear talking in spaces, it's demonic. But I wish he understood the fullness of what even the aliens are talking about. The aliens are telling abductees, we are coming to take your planet. We are going to subjugate you. And while I really appreciate that he said, even if Jesus doesn't save you in that moment, ultimately he will. And I believe that. And that was an important thing for him to say. What do we do in the meanwhile? So I am one of those people who believes that this is going to be a matter of allegiance. And it depends on who you like hitch or ride with. So if you're hitching a ride with the aliens, you're going to end up in their afterlife and of some random pocket dimension of hell. And if you hitch a ride to the true God, who I believe is Yahweh, represented on earth by Jesus Christ, then I'm going to go with them at the end. That's a very simple way to look at it. But what are we doing in the meanwhile? Like, is the church really ready for this? They are not. They're not ready for entities that are not demons, that they are fully embodied. They have incredible powers of persuasion. Everybody's worried about blue beam. Forget blue beam. These entities can make you see and hear and feel and touch whatever they want you to see, hear, feel, and touch. And so these entities, let's just say they do what they say, and we end up in some movie like Colony. And we had a bunch of Christians before that day when they were trapped in a movie like Colony, believing, well, these are just demons and all I have to do is pray. And by the way, the rapture's coming tomorrow and I'm not even going to be here for this, which leaves the church woefully unprepared for what might actually be coming our way, which is a physical aliens coming to our physical planet to physically subjugate us. And that means maybe we can't buy any food. Maybe our credit cards get turned off. Maybe our children get taken away from us because we are a danger to disclosure. Christians will be the enemy of this entire agenda. In case anyone hasn't seen it, the entire agenda of the aliens is anti-Christ, period. We will be the enemy. And I know there's some worry about even people like me, being targeted because maybe I'm going to be seen as being in league with the demons. But this is going to be a real thing, a real physical thing that we're going to have to face. And I don't think anybody here is ready for it, let alone the church who believes all I have to do is cast out a demon in the name of Jesus, and this thing's going to disappear right before my eyes. So I'll just throw that out there for consideration, Andrea. And I'd say I appreciate your question, and that's
That
at
was
least
such a great
one
answer,
area.
Fringe. I just the quickest follow-up because I want to be objective and fair. We also can say that the phenomena is anti-Islam, anti many things. I mean, I believe me, I I have taken more crap about being Christian, with regard to the phenomena. But I don't know, maybe I want to walk this back because I don't know enough about their faith to say that maybe the phenomena does or doesn't threaten. Yeah, I'm going to walk that one back because I don't have confidence in knowing enough about their faith to make that call. So anyway, I will
Yeah, and
pass it on to
that
Doomer. Thank you, Fringe.
that might be true, Andrea. I would ask you for examples of that, but it could be true. So listen, we have examples of people who say, well, that's not true, Fringe, because the phenomenon led me to God, or the phenomenon strengthened my faith. And that's a possibility. I went into this thinking these are my space brothers from outer space. And it took me a very long time to come out the other side of that and realize they are not our space brothers. I ended up more convinced and more radically my religion because of what the entities put me through. Now, I could look at that and think, was that some kind of a mind control? Is that what they wanted in the end? For me to be more radical in my faith than when I started? Maybe. When I look at the big picture, I don't think it fits, but I'll keep that on the table as a possibility. So we can't just look at the small picture of how things end up. You have to look at the very big picture. And ultimately, when I listen to anyone in contact with the phenomenon for long enough, you will hear the same exact messages. There's only like a dozen messages coming out of the phenomenon. It's all the same thing. And if you read the abduction research, don't listen to Fringe. Read the abduction research for yourself. The abduction research is full of people who were told they were star seeds, that you volunteered for this. You volunteered for this in a past life, in a previous life. You have a past life contract for this. All kinds of nonsense. And the abductee comes out of it and realizes, oh my gosh, they've been lying to me the whole time. Look at the story that David just put out. And David was in our space with Bridget. This was at least 2 or 3 years ago. David told that story that I have posted. He was told he was a star seed. And he said, okay, that's great. He's a star seed. And by the way, what about this question or that question? And they said, oh, we can't give you the answers to those questions because that's like prime directive stuff. We can't interfere with your free will. And that might negate your free will or make you do something you wouldn't have otherwise if you had the information. So they're withholding information because of free will. In the meanwhile, they're ripping his wife and children out of their beds at night and abducting them and doing God knows what horrors on the ships. So he thinks he's a star seed and he asked the aliens not to do that. And
Exactly, man.
they told him to pound sand because you're not a star seed and your free will doesn't mean shit to me. And I'm going to do what I have to do. Everything they say and do is manipulation, whether it's coming through an abductee, a contactee, an experiencer, a channeler. It's all the same thing. By the way, I'm going to throw the near death experience in there as well. It's all the same thing, is a bunch of propaganda, and it's all the same message.
And don't
So,
meditate, right? We got to end with don't meditate or you're
I
giving yourself away to the demons.
you're opening up your mind. Let's ask ourselves, why do the entities want Whitley Strieber all of us to meditate, by the way? And why do they want Whitley Strieber to become disembodied every morning at 3 a.m.? Or they twist his nipples if he doesn't do it. He actually goes through physical torture if he doesn't meditate. What would be the reason for that? Do you think that's for Whitley Strieber? No, that's because that gives them easier access to our bodies, our hearts, our minds, and our souls. It
At
opens
our
up
weakest
a
point,
communication.
when we're asleep, when we're dreaming, you know, they make these agreements, these contracts. You're right, and they
Well,
do
they
manipulate.
do.
We want the truth, and I think what we're doing is also ignoring the fact that we're all divided, and we don't realize that there's like an exopolitical organized group above this entire planet that is separating and trying to figure out which one is the smartest one that's going to carry the torch into the next, you know, to the next millennia perhaps. I think that's what it looks like. You know, you put game theory into it, they're just using us or figuring out which ones are the strongest, which ones are the most creative, which ones are the most loving, and they're basically looking at it like a planetary garden of some kind, just to create the best and most different, unique. Look at the platypus. I mean, that fucking thing's a freak for all. You could explain it 5 different ways, but it shouldn't have the body parts that it has, right? So it's hard. The subject is hard. I agree. I don't know where I fucking stand on it every day. I go back and forth. I know there's a manipulation. I feel like it's military and NHI related. I don't know where these guys stand. I don't know what they're harvesting, what they're using with it. I don't know if it's for good or bad. Um, but it's still a curiosity that strikes me almost on a daily basis. So I got to come in here and shoot the shit with you guys. Thanks.
No, thank you. A lot of things that were mentioned, and I look at the similarities. So for years, I was studying to become a deacon, right? So that's master's level in theology and philosophy. And there's a lot of parallels between the abduction cases, the experiencers, and demonic activity. Like, why is it always at night at 3 a.m.? Well, that's 3 a.m. It's reverse of Christ crucifixion, right? 3 p.m., 3 a.m. It's the inverse that points towards demonic type activity, right? Why would they do it at 3 a.m.? Kind of odd, right? It kind of odds out. And then if you look at it like Fringe, why? And people would say, well, if there's God and God existed, why would he let Fringe to go through this? Well, some of the most holiest people actually are demonically possessed. For whatever reason, God allows it. Their demons can only do what God allows them to do. So why would God allow Fringe to be going through all this? Well, if Fringe didn't go through all this and she wasn't strong in her faith, she wouldn't be out talking about it. So even though she's experiencing these horrible things, she is speaking out against it. So that takes away that argument, right? Oh, if there was a God, why would they allow this to happen to Fringe? Well, maybe Fringe is holy and God's using her to put the word out to people to wake
Yeah,
up.
I mean, I don't think
You
it's
know,
because
you have
I'm holy, but I think it is because somehow I was able to come out the other side and warn everybody else that what you're seeing is not what it appears. These entities are using mind control and screen memories to control what we believe when we come out of these experiences. In whose mind is it okay for any person to be snatched out of their beds in the middle of the night? If you had a neighbor who was a doctor, who was a cancer doctor, and you had a child with cancer, and your neighbor, just because he's a cancer doctor, just came and took your kid and kidnapped it in the middle of the night and took him to the basement and decided to administer a cancer cure, would that be okay with anybody in this room? And the answer is abso-fucking-lutely not. And that is the answer we should have for these entities. We are perfectly capable of being communicated with. They can knock on my front door. They can say, hey, we have this great technology. We want to help you ascend to the 5D. Or we need your help. Our race is dying. They could give me cash, right? They could do any number of things other than what they're doing, which is absolutely demonic. Sorry, Doomer's hand is up. I just went on a rant. Go ahead, Doomer.
Oh, you guys are good. The information thing, right? I agree generally with everything that people said here, and I think and it's not really for me to say like I don't have a dog in the fight, but the recommendation to Christians in terms of how to deal with an imminent confirmation or information that comes up regarding the phenomenon, the advocacy to read the Bible harder I think is naive at best. And I'm not saying you shouldn't read your Bible harder. I'm saying if this was enough to understand the phenomenon, you you wouldn't be talking about the phenomenon in such a way that is so divorced from what we're likely to see. In other words, if reading the Bible harder was enough for you to deal with whatever we're going to get from the Trump administration, those people wouldn't be so far off in their expectations. They wouldn't be expecting a full-on Project Bluebeam, and a first-class tray table of alien bodies. They wouldn't be expecting that the government is going to open the kimono. If reading the Bible harder were enough, and I do actually think that the Bible is telling you this in Revelation. In Revelation, it's telling people that believers are going to be deceived. And so if reading the Bible harder were enough, it still isn't taking many Christians into the reality that Revelation seems to be talking about a lot of stuff that is happening right now. And the conviction you should get from reading Revelation is not that it will be difficult to deceive you. The message in Revelation is that discernment is really, really difficult. And even for the most devout, you're going to have a hard time distinguishing the divine from tech, the divine from the demonic. That's what the Bible says. And so I don't think that reading it harder is getting the job done.
Not if you solely read scripture. It's not. Think of the Bible as an outline, right? It's cliff notes. You can't fit everything in. But if you look at like I'm just gonna say, I'm Catholic, so you look at the Catholic canon, you look at the catechism, it gets it dives deep into what demons can do. So, and I find and it's I reread through it and it kind of blew my mind because I'm thinking of all these movies. They can manifest in your mind, right? They can put images in your mind. They could do it to a group of individuals based upon memory. They can't put something in that you've never witnessed or seen, but they can put images in your mind. That's one. That's everyone, every Christian knows that. I think even in Islam, everyone believes that. They're capable of putting images in your mind, make you feel a certain way, can give you ecstasy. Not the same as the Holy Spirit, but they can still provide you ecstasy and make you feel like, oh, this is great. They make me feel so good. They can also manipulate matter. So this was known for thousands of years. And then as we got more modernized, people don't think about it anymore. But they could make clouds, they can bring storms, they can make it hail, they can do anything that God did during Exodus. The demons can do the same thing if God allows them. So they can manifest clouds, right? So look at like Independence Day when all the motherships were going over all the cities. What was the first thing in the film that they showed you? It was these clouds and storms coming, right? And then pow, the ship came out from underneath it. They can do that. Lucifer was known as the light bearer. He can shine like light. You're talking about orbs and things. They can manipulate light and matter. So they can create storms. They can create light shows. Anything that could be manifest in the physical world, they can manipulate. And a lot, I don't know many. I've never been taught that. I've been Catholic, going to church for 52 years. Never had that ever spoken of. You have to dig deeper into the church fathers going back to like 300 AD and how they explained how the demons worked, what they were capable of doing. Um, so I think you're right, Doomer. It's not digging deep into the Bible, but it's digging deep into what the original teachings were on the scripture and what happened and the history of thousands of years of exorcism, what they observed, what's possible for them to do. And then it opens up a whole new level and your eyes open, you're like, wow, this could be demonic. This might not be natural. It could be natural, but it might not, and it could deceive in those ways.
And I want to be really clear, as a non-believer, I'm not even motivated or tempted to try to tell you that reading the Bible or being really devout, right, and giving your life to Christ is not enough for salvation. I'm just saying clearly, if reading the Bible harder were enough to understand what the fuck is going on with the phenomenon, then in Revelation, where your own scriptures are telling you that a bunch of believers will be deceived, you cannot then draw the conclusion that reading the Bible harder is enough to make sure that you won't be deceived, because even the Bible is disagreeing with you.
Yeah, and I think what it actually says, Doomer, is that if it were possible, even the elect would be deceived if the time was not cut short. But to your point, I think for me, I think Westernized Christianity and Protestantism specifically has completely watered down everything that actually is in the text. And Didio referenced this earlier in the space. It's all there. Like it's all there. It's just that we have taken it away and watered it down. We've changed it. I've had pastors, pastors I love and respect who had so much reverence for the holiness of God, they could not even fathom that an angel would be able to mate with a human being and create a monster. Um, and so many things I wasn't taught. And you know what? That's my own fault for listening to a teacher instead of reading it for myself and going, wait a minute, what is that? Like, what is that? Like Michael Heiser says, if it's weird, it's important and it matters. And we have a habit in Christianity, specifically Westernized Christianity, of just watering down all the weird, absolutely weird, supernatural, weird stuff that's happening in the Bible. Just Didio referenced Nebuchadnezzar. There's a story about a man who goes against God, and the holy watchers turn him into what sounds something like maybe a werewolf. I don't know what they turned him into for like 7 years. There's some weird stuff that we all just kind of gloss over and pretend it's not there. In reality, it's all there. And if we just open up our eyes and look, someone told me the other day, 20% of the gospels are in references demons. Like that means it's important. 20%, that's a big number. That's important. It tells us all the time the demons can come into a human body and make them sick and make them act in ways they shouldn't, make them scratch their own eyeballs out, give them leprosy, whatever it is. And we just pretend that these are just weird, just stories that don't even apply to today. Maybe, I don't know. For me, I had a very sanitized view of scripture before I woke up somewhere I did not belong and saw an animal headed creature that I had never seen before, and it had no reference for it whatsoever. I only went to ninth grade. I was not exposed to the Greek mythology and all of those creatures, even the Egyptian gods. I wasn't exposed to that stuff. I just wasn't in my head. And here I am waking up somewhere I don't belong with an animal-headed creature. I had no idea what to do with that. I was like, what in the world is this? How does this fit into my worldview? And making sense of it. So I'm excited about Pastor Alan being here and hopefully just having more of these conversations.
Really quickly, Fringe, would you agree that a sanitized King Jamesian, strictly King Jamesian canonical, scriptural Christianity does not survive even the most tepid confirmation? We're not alone.
Yeah, I'm not sure Christianity as a whole. I mean, I think this is, Ganga posts about this a lot, and it's something to pay attention to. This is going to be a wheat and tear scenario, and there is a sifting coming. And frankly, I'm not sure much of the church survives. That's how serious I think this is. Now, please don't get me wrong. I don't know if it's coming tomorrow or in 1,000 years. But our very own scriptures, look at the book of Revelation, like Doomer is saying, read through that thing and let me know who's surviving that thing. Number one, physically, it's not happening. Number two, spiritually, um, I'm afraid for people. I'm afraid for everyone. You guys have no idea what these creatures are capable of. And if they can take a person like me, and let's just say that I'm correct, and this is 100% good versus evil, cosmic war, Game of Thrones, choose your God kind of scenario. Let's just say I'm right. You have no idea what these creatures are capable of and how they almost got me. And I was a woman of extreme faith, and they almost got me into the pits of hell. if I'm correct, into the pits of hell with them. And I had an extreme amount of faith. So I don't think the church survives this. I don't think most people in the church survive this.
That is what I think Alan needed to hear to answer Andrew's question for you with your own words. That's what I would have wanted him to hear.
Yeah, I would love for him to hear that. And, maybe he disagrees with me. I don't know. But I think that people who have not seen and dealt with these creatures face to face, day after day after day, year after year, hundreds of times, and been able to come out the other side. Because, by the way, don't you think they use that starseed shit on me too? They told me I was a starseed too, everybody. I'm not just speaking, out of no experience. They told me I was a star seed. They told me and my husband we were star seeds and we were here to spread the light to the world of the Galactic Federation. So the things I speak about with this authority that people do not like, it's from experience. It's not because I'm looking at you from afar and not understanding what the star seeds are going through. It's because I've already been there and I've already done that and come out the other side. It's because I don't only have my own experiences, I speak to abductees every single day. And I've read the abduction research. And guess what? The abduction research is full of people who thought they were star seeds and ascending to the 5D, only to figure out that that was a lie, just like David did. So, yeah, 100% Doomer. I would love to have that conversation with Pastor Allen. And here's the other thing, you guys, with when it comes to Pastor Allen, he is a very extreme minority of pastors who are even entertaining this topic. Most pastors, you heard him say that he's been told not to deal with this topic, not to speak on this topic. Most churches will not deal with this topic. The person who is very close to my family that I went to for exorcism had been kicked out of 3 churches for doing exorcism because this is a forbidden topic in the church. Go ahead and tell any random Christian pastor that Genesis 6 means that that the sons of God came into the daughters of men and created giants. It says it right there, but they will not even entertain things like that. So that Pastor Allen is even willing to have these conversations, let alone on UFO Twitter, makes him a unicorn among unicorns. Most pastors will not deal with this. And so, no, the church is not ready and they are going to get slapped upside the head. And you know what? We deserve it. We absolutely deserve getting slapped upside the head.
Can I just jump in because it's like 1 a.m. my time and holding that space, I'm getting a bit drained. Is that all right, Mav? Yeah?
Yes, yes, Daz. I just want to say, what a space. That was a legendary space. You did an excellent job. Wow. And the pastor, he surprised me. I knew he's a very charismatic guy, well spoken, well educated. I watched a lot of his videos, but he was still kind of standoffish on the details within his church. But he just opened up and then he stayed. Big shout out to you. Um, he provided a lot of information he hasn't spoke about in any other podcast or even with his church. So great job, Daz.
Really? You would say that he provided a lot of information there that he doesn't in the podcast, yeah?
100%.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, like, there's just something about him. Like, I stepped into my sensitivities and my spidey senses with that one, I come across many different speakers or people that are kind of like, I guess, influencers. When I saw him in that first space that Red was co-hosting, 7,000 followers, similar to me, right? This is not influencer, but there was something about the way how he was handling the UFO topic, being a pastor, that intrigued me. And then I was just like, listening to his experience with studying the esoteric stuff and that, and I was just like, wow, okay. And it was only until I actually secured the space where to whom was like, yeah, he's a big deal. He's got like over 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. I didn't even know, didn't even realize. So for me, I'm trying to say I was drawn to his energy, and I guess how unique I could see that he was as a pastor, rather than, oh my God, this is someone who's got such a huge following, like, you got to secure him, right? So I'm really grateful that he enjoyed it. He was only supposed to give us an hour. I remember Fringe was like, if you only got him for hours, like, that's what he said. But he obviously enjoyed the space and the energy so much that he was just like, well, no, I'm here for whatever. And I was just like, yeah, you're gonna regret saying that. But and it could have gone on for longer, but I was just like, no, I want people to enjoy the replay and not keep it like, way too long. I know Fringe and Doom where they can do like 6 hours, 10 hours, whatever. And it's great having all of that material. I feel like for me, when I have guests, I prefer them to be a bit shorter just so that it's more compact. But yeah, I'm still gonna have to process that. I think it's definitely one that I have to go back and listen to the replay and Fringe. I feel like your energy, even though it's like coming in here and hearing all of the stuff that she's saying in here, I'm just thinking, why didn't you say that there? Why? But she's just respecting the space. She's respecting the pastor. I think we only dealt with one disruptor, and we all kind of know who who that was. Other than that, it was such a smooth space, and I think it was the energy that we all brought. And Mav, I apologize for having to rotate you so early. It was just really hard, and I just thought to myself, Mav's spoken to him. I don't want it to be like, I know that you're going to have that opportunity to have him in your space. So I just figured out of everybody, they might not have that opportunity again. So that was the only reason why, because I knew you had a space where you're going to host and you can ask him whatever you want.
No, thank you. Yeah, I didn't want to ask him too many questions because then I'd have nothing to ask him. So yeah, I appreciate that, Daz. I appreciate you having me up on the space with you. But yeah, you did an excellent job. I suggest everybody do the replay. It's pinned up top. I'm gonna go back and listen to it again, um, just in case there's something that I missed. Well, yeah, that was an excellent space. But Daz, if you can download that space onto a device before something happens to it.
Yeah, I've never actually downloaded any of my spaces before, and people have said this to me. So I've got to try
I
and
got it.
work out how to do
Just
it.
I'll do it.
just for the record, I already have it downloaded.
Why you lot think it can disappear, that one?
Daz, this
You
is
never know,
UFO
man. You
Twitter.
never know.
Or wait until you get the NHI treatment. Yeah, like the more important your space, or the more dangerous your space. Maybe not the more important, but the more dangerous your space, the more likely it'll disappear.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. I'll try.
Mav, it's not like 50 spaces. Just go
No,
get Bernie Madoff. I've had 10.
not to mention that the government and a bunch of other people are telling their people to back up all their files right now because they're expecting some sort of cyber pandemic.
Okay.
NHI hijacking.
Well, you're good, Daz. Goose has it for you, backed up.
Okay. So what? I'll be able to get it from Goose. Is that what you're saying? Okay. Brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll figure. We just need to figure out a way to send it because I don't think I can send that big of a file through X Spaces. I mean, through X DMs. So we'll just figure it out. But yeah, I already have it. I already have it.
Thanks, Goose.
Awesome. I'm getting it too. I just wanted to say I did message Alan after the space, and I just thanked him for his thoughtful answers and his time. I'm kind of paraphrasing here. He was just saying that he told his wife how sharp and well read everybody in the space seems to be, and it was a blessing for him. So that kind of mirrors why he was here for so long. So I just wanted to reiterate how like his linger time probably had something to do with our thoughtful questions, our intellectual capability.
I don't think he expected it. I think he was really surprised, actually.
You're right. I was talking about that earlier, Daz. That when I first got in this community, I thought you guys were stereotypical UFO people wearing the beam me up shirt, going to these conferences dressed as grays, and no, and I was like, wow, these people are freaking brilliant, logical. Even though everyone has a different experience, some like the aliens, some dislike. Across the board, the information you guys provide, and you're all intelligent. I was shocked. So I think I think when people come in that are new, they kind of expect the stereotypical, kind of like Jesse Waters when he was talking about laughing and giggling, like, ha, aliens are real, ha ha ha. And then they come in here and they realize this is very serious. This is a real thing. And I think that's why he stuck around so long.
I think he could tell that we take it seriously. And like when Duma came up and said, like, this is the most important topic. I think he felt that. And I think us all coming together, we really complement each other.
True, true. And we do, like he said, we have different backgrounds, different points of view on the topic, but we could all join a space and have a conversation without, sometimes it gets a little out of hand, but those are like certain spaces. But for yours, Daz, pretty much they're pretty straightforward. Uh, People raise their hands, they speak in turn. Same with Doomer when they run their Doomer spaces. So yeah, that I mean that's oh, go ahead, James.
Fringe can get out of hand, though. You know what I mean? Sometimes to just go wild, steal the mic, trample on everyone.
Oh, I would have had so much to say in that space if it weren't Daz, if I wasn't just Daz's co-host there just to hold the seat, I would have had a whole lot to say.
But you know what? When we do it next time, I give you free
No,
reign to
no,
just
Daz.
like go and
No, I'm screwing with you. Look, we bring these. Everybody's heard what I have to say. When we bring these guests in, it's to hear what the guest has to say. It's not to hear Fringe. It's to hear the guest. Anybody could hear what I have to say all day long. We want to hear what Pastor Allen has to say, not what Fringe has to say. Although I think we could have a phenomenal conversation. It's probably not one maybe for a space. It's more about hearing his points of view on number one, that meeting, and then obviously all the other questions he answered. It was so good.
Go ahead, James. Then we go to smoldering.
Hey, can you hear me?
Sound good.
Awesome. Yeah, so quite a few things actually. The NHI, or the non-human intelligence, yes, those are real. They are demons. They're not from outer space, right? I mean, if you really think about it, if we could get to Mars, we would be there already because we could exploit another planet. Like the capitalist and all the money would be there already. It's been too long between the first lunar mission and now for us to have not have done that, right? Um, as far as like implanting stuff into your mind, not only can the demons do that, but our government can do that. We have the capability to do that. They do it through multiple different means. Um, and I worked on a project that was used for this. It was the same weapon. It's a multi-use weapon. It, one of the guys I know calls it "Hello, Goodbye, Good Night." That's the project name he worked on it as. I just knew it as an microwave crowd control device, which is the lowest setting, or hello as they know it. It can also speak to you, and it sounds demonic when it does so because it's using ultra low frequency nested inside of a microwave. So it uses frequency nesting to speak to you. So the government has this capabilities. Now, as far as how we got these capabilities, I stumbled across something a while back. I was reading Josephus, and he talked about those sons of God that mated with the daughters of men and made giants. Well, those guys gave to the sons of Cain or Seth, the sons of Seth, depending on which document you're reading. It kind of goes back and forth sometimes. But Josephus says that they gave these seven sciences to mankind, and mankind wrote these down on two pillars, one of brick, one of stone, because Adam was told by God that God was going to destroy the earth once by water and once by fire. So one of brick to survive the fire and one of stone to survive the water. And then I stumbled across another document from the Masons, and they also talked about these two pillars. So I kind of did a deep dive into these two pillars, and I have found hundreds of documents throughout history that talk about these two pillars. And Josephus tells us where they were, and the Masons claim to have found it. So I would wager that the Masons actually have these two pillars, which is where a lot of this knowledge is coming from. And then as far as how close we are to the events of Revelation happening, vary, I would assume. And for the making aliens appear in the sky or Project Bluebeam, that is very plausible. Look up talking plasma. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of that or not. And there are other projection and hologram technologies that the United States government does have. And then another thing that a lot of people skip over, because for so long, pastors have been equating the four beasts of Daniel, or the four kingdoms that arise at the time of the end, with the statue of Daniel, which is in 5 parts. They are not. The first beast is a lion with eagle's wings. Right now, you have the lion, which is Israel, with the wings of an eagle, which is all the aircraft carriers that the United States has sent over there, right? The wings of the eagle get ripped off. Then you have a bear that rises up on its side and has 3 ribs in its mouth. Russia will take Ukraine, and they will have the 3 Baltic states in their mouth. And it actually looks like a bear when you look at it from the map, right? The third beast is the leopard with the mouth of a bear, the feet of a lion, and 4 wings. That's going to be the United Nations. Look at the United Nations pandemic treaty, because great power was given to this beast. Well, the pandemic treaty, if signed or approved, if the United States falls and the United Nations becomes part of Russia, or Russia is leading it instead of the United States, then the pandemic treaty gets signed, and that takes sovereignty away from all nations, right? And then you've got the fourth and final beast, which is the 10 kingdoms, or the 10 kings on the with 7 heads, 10 horns on 7 heads, 10 kings on 7 continents, right? And then if you look up the technocrat map or the Club of Rome map, you will see that they've already made these 10 regions, or economic zones, as they call them, right? Which is also very interesting, with Trump talking about wanting to take Canada, Greenland, Mexico, Venezuela, and Cuba, which is exactly the states that are on the technocrat map.
I like it. And just to go a little further, as a military guy, you said you served in active duty.
Yeah, I was active duty, and then I contracted for SAIC for a while.
Did you get a chance to get your GWAT or GWATSOM medal, or
Yep.
which one did
Yeah.
you get, brother?
Iraq. I went to Iraq.
So you got the service medal itself. Nice. I asked questions that only a military vet would be able to pick up really quick and not be like,
GWAT.
because then I'd know right away if you were lying, and you completely passed the test of. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Um, I,
I got an RCOM instead of a friggin' CAB, which was
sweet.
stupid because we weren't supposed to be there. My unit had no orders to be in Iraq. The commander smuggled us in essentially so he can get a promotion to major.
Nice.
Yeah, and I found the paperwork for that too when we were cleaning his office house out after he left.
It's crazy that military guys are talking like this, because they do plan out rocket missions the same way. They do have ceremonies and rituals. So it is it's
Oh yeah.
wacky that they follow these astronomical and what is it called, like symbology.
Well, so it's not that the technology and these rituals and stuff like that that they use to do this, it's not that they're getting some supernatural special power. They've been trained and taught how to manipulate what God has built. So they're manipulating how the world actually works by understanding how it actually works. That's why these ceremonial sites are on different ley lines and different points, because you're getting access to the actual like essence of God essentially, right? Which is the Higgs boson field. I don't know if you guys know much about that or not, but that is what causes gravity. Nobody will tell you that. Nobody will agree usually, but the Higgs boson is literally what causes gravity. It is like the force of God. It gives mass, and that's how they do anti-gravity technologies. They manipulate the Higgs boson field.
What do you think they have in store for humanity? Are they just basically trying to show us that we have like the secret code unlocked in our DNA of some kind, and we're the gods, we're the ones that control the simulation, and we're just basically distracting ourselves by coming into these lifetimes? Or what do you think they got up their
No, it's
sleeve?
so that goes into the feat of ironing clay. The flesh will try and mix with iron. This the tech the what do you call it? The techno human or what? Can't remember the word all of a sudden. Um,
Transhumanism,
transhumanism. It's
right?
transhumanism, yeah. So the whole Elon Musk Neuralink and everything like that. I do believe that the Antichrist will be brought back with a Neuralink and AI, and that is basically going to make him more powerful than everybody else, right? And as far as their plan for humanity, they have been telling us their plan in TED Talks and everywhere else. They want to kill most of humanity. Like the time we're about to go into is about to be so terrifying and so horrible and so filled with war that it's going to allow the current system that we have to collapse, and everybody's going to be begging for something different, which is how we're going to get those 10 kings, because the wars are going to be so bad and the famine, and then they're going to shove you in your little 15-minute city and give you your little mark and tell you to, follow the rules.
Yeah, that Alex
Those-
Jones commentary does pop into our spaces a lot, and it might be a possibility, but I think our consciousnesses altogether can push back against that without even lifting a finger.
Nope. No,
Yeah, pretty
there's no
sure.
stop. I don't think there's any stopping it. I think it's coming no matter what, because that's a Jewish mysticist thing, that you can change the prophecies of God. When God gives a prophecy, it will come to pass, and that is what Jesus said. Everything that is written about me must come to pass, not has come to pass, but must. So everything that was written about him from the time before he was born till the very end of Revelation must come to pass. So everything that is in Revelation will happen.
I like what you said about microwave weapons, man. And I respect your opinions very much. How do you get the actual low frequency band? Do you enter something in a keyboard and it just transmits and it sounds like R2D2 language? Can you kind of simulate what it might
So
sound like? Have you
you
actually used it?
Yeah, you speak. I've read all the documentation too. I had to plug it into a simulation. So they gave me all the classified documentation, but they redacted that part of it. But it was really easy to figure out. So as I was reading, the capabilities of it, the scientists that did it in the 50s is when they were building this and testing it, or when they built it and tested it. The scientist was talking, writing his notes or whatever in the paperwork, and he says he was standing in front of it and they fired it at him, on a low power setting. And he's like, I got warm, heated and agitated. And then he's like, but I could hear this ticking right behind my ear. And he was like, I theorized that. And what's funny is I was driving into work like a week before I got access to this paperwork. And I was looking at my car stereo, and I'm in technology. So, I was just starting in tech at the time. And so I was, driving into the radio or driving into work, looked at the radio, and I was like, how the hell's my radio know what radio station it is and what song is playing and why is there a delay on occasion? So I looked it up, and it's frequency nesting. They nest a frequency within the frequency, right? So the same thing happens on that microwave. They nest an extremely low frequency inside of the microwave, and you just speak into a microphone and you talk to the person, but you have to be pointed like directly at their face. So the person you want to talk to, you got to be pointed directly at their face, right? And when you speak into the microphone, it's riding a microwave, so it's very short wavelengths.
Line of
So
sight. Yeah.
yeah, but it's an ultra low frequency or an extremely low frequency, right? So it's got longer wavelengths. So it takes the normal sound that you would have and it stretches it out. So when you hear it, it sounds like a demon. It sounds like this. Like, it slows it down
Nice.
and
It
makes it
sounds
deeper.
just like underwater communications too, man. The way you
It's
just said that.
that's exactly what
Nice.
it is. Yeah. It's the
Okay,
same
cool.
technology. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing, man. I appreciate that very much.
Yeah, thank you, James. We got Smolder. Go ahead. Oh, we dropped him. Bring him back up.
Oh, we're gonna get followed now.
Go ahead, Smolder.
Hey, sorry, yeah, I got cut out for a second. Um, I'm going to try to, I'm not the best speaker, but I'm going to try to, communicate this as good as possible. To the guy that was talking last, the, the, the revelation and the beast of revelation and this entire thing about the aliens and this phenomenon that's happening. It's he's a very smart guy, but there's a big picture that's happening that the Bible's pulling you into of this what this is. The seven beasts. The one thing that he missed was the seven-headed beast, the seven churches, the seven spirits, the seven sciences. Are the seven churches in Turkey? All those church modern in the north of Turkey. That's
You're
Gog.
rugging a little bit, brother.
Those churches. What? Say it. Say that again.
Just give your mic a
Yeah,
second to catch up, and then go ahead because you're just rubber banding a little.
Do you want me to drop out and come back in?
That's
Well, we can
better.
hear you
No,
good. You
no,
just need to give it some time to pick up.
Okay, gotcha. So yeah,
I didn't even know
the
that.
what's that? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you there.
No, no, it was me. I didn't know that that was a technique when you're rubber banding just to give it a minute and then it comes back. That was quite smart. Sorry. Carry on. It's all you.
Okay, great. So the one thing you missed was the seven churches and the seven spirits of God are the seven-headed beast in of Gog in Turkey, because all those churches are located in Turkey. That's who Paul was talking to, and Gog is the prince of the Rosh in Turkey of the north. That's where those churches become the seven-headed beast. That's the seven-headed beast of Daniel. That's why all of the heads of the beast are the exact same heads in Ezekiel and in Daniel 7. They're all the same thing. The churches are the beast. That they become that. Well, they become it. And the wings that were given to Israel, the woman that becomes the great whore, which is Israel, those wings were from the beast, and then it takes her away to the place of where it feeds on Leviathan. If you remember, Yahweh says that Leviathan, the beast that he puts the hooks in, is the same beast that of Gog that he puts the hooks in to bring the beast down to battle them. And that beast is the seven churches, the seven-headed beast with the 10 kingdoms that powered by the dragon. And the that if you remember Leviathan, it says that's Yahweh's plaything that he toys with and delights. This in Daniel 7 of the beast is part of the entire plan. That's why he's on top of the river of, if you remember in Daniel 7, the lake of fire is part of that operation. It's just an ongoing thing. And those churches are the Gog beast, seven-headed beast of the system. And the reason that what I'm trying to say, I don't want to offend everybody here, but the only way out of of what they're telling us about these aliens and the reptilians, well, the seraphim are above the Lord in his throne in Isaiah 6:2, and they're two fiery reptilian serpents. So whatever they're showing us, what they're going to do, and what people are trying to do now, especially Christians, they're trying to, as they say, bind the Pleiade, the sweet influence of the Pleiade. Remember how in Job, can you bind the influence of the seven stars? Those seven stars in the sky and the constellations that you're trying to bind, and they're dripping it out to us, as they're saying. That's what the text is doing to you. When you're only using the text to think about what these aliens are, you're binding yourself. You're limiting yourself to the belief of it, because the text, the Torah, the Bible, the Quran, all of them, they're binding your your infinite birthright of your free will to only accept what everyone says is true because the Bible says so, or because their science says so, or whatever. And the way out of this is through um, the opposite, not the opposite, but to see it as for what it is. Because what no one's bringing forth is that there could have been a civilization, which most likely is the case, that left here way before the flood, way before the Nephilim, way before everything. And you know, that left with our technology that they made here and left this system of what God controls here because the God of the Bible isn't what we thought it was, and He's pulling you in with hooks, like the seven churches. He's pulling you into the stumbling block that He calls His own system is a
Very
stumbling block.
intense takes, man. If I could ask you one question, the Last Supper, God said, I give you this, my bread, all of you eat, drink from my blood, and all that. Is he trying to say you don't need to fight anymore? You don't need to kill. You don't need to eat meat, or what is he trying to describe? And how people have taken that so out of context and created rituals out of it, and all this and that. I'm a Catholic as well, so you can throw the Bible at me or whatever, but I will tell you that I get halfway through the Bible sometimes and I want to throw it out the window, and I go back to it. But what does that mean to you? Like, how does that interpret with all of you guys, like in a different way? What does it mean?
He's setting you up.
Setting you up?
He's setting you up. Yeah, the reason they want you to eat what it's called is eating the flesh and drinking the blood. What it is and people say, well, he just means it spiritually. Well, if you spiritually eat flesh and drink blood, that's actually even worse because everyone knows what the spirit does, so does the body. So in some way, you're doing something terrible that you're not seeing right now. But what it's doing is three times in the Old Testament, Yahweh says, I will make and feed you your children to eat, and you would devour them for the purpose of blaming, of having them, calling them out on worshiping other gods. So he feeds the people. Who does he feed the Leviathan to? He's feeding his own people, their children, so that they can have purpose. Why in Ezekiel
Slight,
38
slight.
4? Why in Ezekiel 38:4? God said, Yahweh said, I will drag Gog, the nation, the beast, 7 beasts, down to attack my own city, Jerusalem. Oh, yes, I will put it in their minds. I will mind control them. Revelation 17:17 says he's mind controlling them for his agenda, for the sole reason that his agenda plays out. He's making them attack his own city. And then in Revelation 17, it says that Satan also makes Gog attack Yahweh's city. They're doing the same operation on both ends of the coin. The devil coin and the God coin fulfill the same objective.
So the
And
white hats
Revelation
and the
17
black
17
hats
tells,
is a thing? White hats and the black hats are a thing then?
I don't know what you mean by that, but
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
the God of the Bible is and Satan are fulfilling the same agenda by using both sides against you, because remember, it's a double-edged sword. The word is a double-edged sword, just like the adulterous woman is a double-edged sword, and it's cutting both the person that uses it and the other person it's used on. It's good and evil. It's true and lie at the same
Do you
time.
think
It's
adultery is
the
a penalty that actually casts you into hell? Is that actually a thing?
It just says it's a double-edged sword. Adultery, the
Like
I don't
any of those
think hell is
commandments
what it
that
is.
are
Yeah.
unreasonable, that maybe that you think might be unreasonable, to push back against any of them, should you have fear against this person called God? Or should you just be brave and say, I'm going to own my mistakes? Or what is it, your philosophy on that?
Well, it says that there is no fear in love. In perfect love has no fear. So if you fear the Lord, that means you have no love inside of you. So I wouldn't fear the Lord if you claim to have love. If you don't have love, then I'm assuming you'll probably fear the Lord. I can't tell you what to do, but I don't. I don't fear this deity because it's an algorithm, and it tells you it's an algorithm because we all call our Bible, and every Christian and in every denomination says, "Oh, well, that's non-canonical." Everyone knows that the word canon doesn't mean a shooting cannon. It means a algorithm and code. Canon is a synonym of the word code, and code is a synonym of the word algorithm. They're all the same operation. It's a mental algorithm. That's all it is. We're if we put this first to decode what these aliens are, if you want to call it that, or if it's just people on Earth that left with technology that they didn't want to get in the hands of this deity called that runs the entire universe in this realm, or not the universe, this realm here of what we call the solar system or whatever. They took off, and if we keep going by the Bible, we are binding our own minds and trapping it, which is what this deity does. He says, can you bind can you do this too? Because I'm doing it to you. He's binding your thoughts on the stars and telling you that. Can you have the sweet influence of the Pleiades? Can you pull down the Mazzaroth, the big bear from the Mazzaroth? Because he's doing it. And he's telling you, are you going to use the Bible to do it? Yeah, you are. Because you have to. Because remember, he tells you, he mind controls you in Revelation 17:17. He tells you in Revelation 17:17 that he will make you worship the beast and the whore. The great whore is Israel that gets forgiven in Isaiah 1. We all know this. Whoever reads their Bible, it gets forgiven like a cuck. But he tells you, I will make you do this in Revelation 17:17. I'm putting it into your mind and heart to do this. And you might ask, why are you making everyone worship the beast and the whore? It tells you in the next sentence, so that my agenda can be fulfilled. So there's people that he purposely made in the world to worship the beast and the woman. If that doesn't tell you that it's a trick, and these flying serpents are on this God, his throne. So if we see reptilians, that's him. The only people I might trust the Nordics because they're tall. I trust tall people, but I don't. But the lizard people, I don't know if people on here are ever into the Pleiadians and Aldebaran stuff, but everyone knows the lizard people, which is what Yahweh is. He tells you his smoke coming out of his nose and fire from his mouth and his wings of the dragon that he has under you. And Job 36:22 says, I am powerful, the all powerful, and powerful is koak, and it means lizard. And that word is used in Leviticus 11:30 for lizard. So he's telling you some things here.
Who's speaking again?
And
Just for the audience, who's speaking?
this is smoldering.
Nice. Everybody follow that guy. He's memorizing and putting scripture behind his words. That's a difficult task I have yet to achieve.
Yeah, it's a lot, and I the whole people think the churches are they're the good guys. No, the churches are the beast. Every single church, the seven are the seven-headed beasts of Revelation. It's you. Anyone that's following this thing is getting pulled in. The ones that get saved, the alien abduction, rapture, and the thief in the night. Yes, of course they have to come at 3 a.m. They have to, because the thief in the night doesn't come at 3 p.m. Jesus says, I am the thief in the night. They're coming in the middle of the night on their day of the Lord to destroy you. And I encourage anyone on here that is into the Nephilim, I vehemently encourage you to follow this track. The Nephilim are called the men of Olam, which means to live a very long or forevermore life. And the men of Shem, which means name. There's only two people called Olam in the entire Bible. Yahweh, well, okay, if you count his covenant as a third person, it's Yahweh, his covenants with his people that are Olam forever, and the Nephilim. There's only three things that are ever called Olam. The Nephilim, Arba of Numbers 13:33 of the Anakim, which are Nephilim, their father is Arba in Joshua 14:15 and 21. Arba is the father and the greatest man of the Nephilim. Arba is where Abraham buried. They're all buried. The cave of the four. Arba means four. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Adam are buried in the cave of the four. The Yahweh is called the four tetragrammaton from the four rivers in the Garden of Eden that powered them, where they leached onto this and they sucked our infinite energy. That's how it's leached on, and it's sucking our energy and binding us. They're the Nephilim. Abraham is the Nephilim. That's why Shem lived 900 years, or 600. Noah lived 900. The men of Olam. Yahweh never killed them. He saved them through Noah. That's why it said, I'm killing every man. He never says, I'm going to get rid of all the Nephilim. He never says that. He destroys man because they're only living 120 years, and and Noah lived 900 years. He's like, why should I stay with these men? I regret making them. I need to assimilate longer living people, which they were the ones that knew what Yahweh's fruit was, because the fruit of the tree of life is the only thing that makes you live in Genesis 4 forever. Or Genesis 3, I'm sorry.
And that
The fruit, that's the only thing.
and that fruit
Yeah.
being possibly psychedelics, maybe? No? Am I way off?
Who knows? If you believe the story, it's whatever you want. But I just wanted to throw that out there. Like, the good guys in the Bible aren't the good guys. The bad guys aren't the bad guys. It's a double-edged sword. It's gonna hit you and who you use it on. It's a weapon that hurts everyone.
Well,
It's like a two-way shooting gun.
your words are at least appreciated by me, man. I appreciated that explanation, and I'm going to dig in through the recorded space and replay everything
Yeah.
just to
You,
study.
you know,
Honestly,
knights in the medieval period used double-edged swords, and they never cut themselves, and they put their hand on the blade. It's all about how you swing it.
But yeah, well, it's not a double-edged sword. Regardless of using it that way, the entire meaning of it is that it's bad for everyone, because it's just like the tree of the fruit of good and evil. Would you use that knowing that it is going to also be evil? Do you think you have the power to only use the good of it?
No,
Because
impossible.
good,
Yeah.
I
yeah,
obviously could not use, because I have knowledge of good and evil because that fruit was already eaten. So I know what evil is. And it's a freaking
Dude,
struggle every
like
day
would the
to
tree
bang.
would the tree in the side of my house be pissed off if I cloned it with a different tree in my backyard and it just shot a different color flower? I don't think it can you
the-
conceptualize how that could be happening to humanity? Like that's the power we don't have to stop.
I would encourage you to think about why the adulterous woman is a double-edged sword, and so is Jesus in Hebrews 4:12 is called the double-edged sword. And so, if an adulterous woman is a double-edged sword, and Jesus is the double-edged sword, and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil being double-edged, think about
But
that.
also a necessity to
What
have both balance at the same time.
you could be, but we're told by Yahweh that He did not allow you to eat that. He did not want you to. So do you? So is He taking away your necessity then of having both?
I see.
It's just something to think about. I'm really trying to help Christians and Muslim and Abrahamic Torah, all that. It's a massive psyop on your mind to divide you. I mean, and it tells you, I
Okay.
have not come to bring peace. I've
So
come to divide you.
if it's a psyop, how come all the things are happening exactly as it was said?
It's not. It's not exactly as it
Because
Oh,
it's
says.
happening
It's
always in the
close.
now.
It's close. It's close. And the reason it's happening is because they're fulfilling the script, because you're doing
okay.
it just by you reading it and being in it. You're enabling it.
So
Yes,
so they
you're
so
fulfilling.
you're saying previous Christians enabled Israel to become a
Yeah,
nation again.
yeah. Well, yeah, you're doing it. Yes.
No, I didn't do it. I wasn't even born when
Well,
Israel
not
became a
you.
nation
I don't
again.
mean you. Yes. Yeah. I mean the. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Like in the
But
collective consciousness of everything.
Yes. It's in you. Not you. And I don't mean you. I don't mean that. But Christians and Muslims. Think about it. Just look at how a golem operates. Look exactly how it operates. First, you put a piece of paper with the name on it and the code. And what do? You make the golem eat the paper, right? Well, you're told 3 times in the Bible to eat the words. And every time you're told to eat these words, every single person did exactly what it was said of them. Then the golem has a name on their foreheads that has to be written. Everyone knows the seal of God will be written on their foreheads. You're doing, not you. I don't mean you guys, but the Christians, the Muslims, anyone that thinks Abraham is the good guy
So
is doing
no,
this operation without knowing it.
hold on. So would you rather have the seal of the God that can pull down the Pleiades and can pull the stars down and holds the earth up, or would you ever have the seal of man that made a stupid computer program that wants to kill you?
He actually can't. He binds them, and his weakness. This God of the Bible tells you his weakness. Did you guys know that? He tells you it in Jeremiah 31:36. If you guys want to read it, I'll read it for you if you want, or if someone wants to read it.
I'm on the edge of my seat,
And you can
bro.
go to
I literally want.
you can go to 35 and do 35 and 36. But it tells you his weakness. If these stars and the foundations of the earth ever change or are explained, and the word change, it means to think for yourself and to put the universe together in your own mind, then the seed of Israel will vanish and be done and be
No,
destroyed.
it says if the stars could be changed or the
Yeah,
foundations, if they could
yeah,
be, then Israel would no longer be my people.
yeah.
Okay.
And well,
But
it's not letting you, because I'll tell you why it's not letting you, because you're binding yourself with the word, with the script. That's why you won't let it. Like, you're not going to let yourself do it because it goes against what the script is saying. So that's why it's mind controlling you. And I don't mean you. You're a very nice guy, and you have I'm just a guy that's obsessed with this, and I've been
No,
obsessed
but
with
there's
it my
clear
entire life.
manipulation. You're not wrong to suggest that that's going
Yeah,
on. Look at like you said, the Torah and from zooming out, it's huge divides between people.
well,
yeah,
but so
yeah,
here's another. So when you said that he would put it in the minds of the Leviathan to come against Jerusalem, his holy city, right? The
yeah.
reason why he does that is also spoken about in Jeremiah and Ezekiel and the rest of the prophets. It's because Israel continues to turn their back on him and doing terrible things like running pedophile rings and oppressing people and doing other crap like that. So he's not coming there to destroy a city just for funsies. It's because they're
Uh,
being wicked and he's coming
well,
to
he
judge
tells
them
you.
for their wickedness.
No, but
which he
before that,
created.
yes, exactly.
No, no,
He's saving you from the sin he gave you, and he actually tells
He
you that.
tells you that point blank. This isn't a mystery in the scriptures. He says, for I am the Lord. I create good and I create evil. I mean, he's the one that
Yeah,
creates it. I mean, look, he is the king of the God of this world, is the God of the Old Testament is Yahweh. The God of this world, that's Satan. He's the only one that called himself God too. God's not a name. It's not a name.
He's a jealous guy
Somebody
too, huh?
that creeps, walks, and crawls like the cockroaches had something to do with it.
and he even tells you in Isaiah 60, any nation that does not bow to me and worship me, I will destroy them, and they will perish. So whenever he doesn't have golem slaves of anything, they could be Israel, they could be Christians, they could be anything. He started with these Israelites or wherever Abraham came from, Mesopotamia or whatever. He started with them, but it's anyone. And certain people are stronger golems than others. He tells you actually in Genesis, or Deuteronomy, you will be, if you ever want to ask yourself who the superior race is according to the Bible, he tells you, if you listen to me, you will be high above all goyim. So they're a goy, or a golem, you could even say, that the word high is called elyon, and it's the exact same word for what is called the God Most High. And then
Elyon. Yeah.
above is supreme. Yeah. God, Yahweh says, if you listen to me, all the nations will bow and worship to you. Why do you think it says in Zechariah that every nation of every language, 2,800 people will grab the hem of a robe of a rabbi and say, "Take me with you"? He's making his main slaves be worshipped by Christians and Muslims. That's what he tells you. He tells you, "I will make you God and to be worshipped." That's what it actually says. And you're the supreme
Right.
race. Yes, that's what he says. And when they stop obeying him and worship other gods, then he destroys them. But he makes them go worship other gods because he gives them innocent. He even tells you, I will give you into the drunkenness. I make you a cup of drunkenness to the nations. I purposely do this. He actually tells you, I created the famine. I am doing this so that way you can get all this money.
That's
He
hiding in
gives you the
plain sight. That's
problem.
the greatest way to hide it.
Yeah.
It's the greatest way to
He
hide it.
starts everything. Yeah.
That's a
innocent Hebrews.
hermeneutical patch in our civilization. It literally, because you are told what something is or what something means before you ever have the opportunity to read it or become intimate with it.
Well, yeah, no, exactly. That's what they're doing with the alien agenda. And I'm not trying to like hop on Alan DiDio. I don't know how to say his name. He's a great talker, but again, they're trying to put the Bible into this, and they're trying to make it seem like, well, if it's two reptilians, that means it's evil because
It's
two reptilian serpents,
it's
they're
called
bad. But
script.
then
It's
but then
called the
Isaiah
script.
6:2. Yes,
100,
the
100.
script. They're it's a movie.
While
Yeah.
while
But
the
Isaiah 6:2
control
says,
system gets installed and we all get we have not
yes,
chip, but we're gonna have to get some
yeah,
kind of digital ID, and I think that's where they say, okay, that's like the new Patriot Act level of control. We have no fucking way out of that.
That is coming
yeah.
very, very soon, by the way.
And one more thing I wanted to add when my phone got cut out earlier when you were talking about the iron and clay. The transhumanist agenda is the New Testament. It is what Paul's telling you about your new bodies. That's the transhumanist agenda. The new bodies that you get have your spirit in them. Where is your spirit saved? In the what? It's in the cloud,
Vapor.
right?
Vapor.
Forever.
Yeah, the
Eternal.
vapor.
Yep.
Well, the book of life is a book of records. And the lake of fire, all it does is
Uh,
takes
uh,
out what they don't want to know of what they call history.
so
That's the burning of the fire.
Paul
They
says
always
you'll
usurp
be
what we create. Always.
What does Paul say? Go
Everything
ahead.
is
Yeah.
usurped.
Paul says you'll be resurrected from the dead and changed into an immortal body in an instant. And then Christ comes back to the earth and we rule the earth with him.
What
These
do you
bodies
know what rule the earth
are,
means?
you're going to be
Yeah.
that like, every nation will bow to like
Yeah.
okay, if
The people
those who
that
don't
follow
bow.
Christ will be princes and priests in the kingdom of Christ.
Yes. Okay. What happens to these? Okay, these people that are doing it. I'm trying to say 10 things at once. How do you think they're not dying? And what doesn't die lives forever and doesn't need food anymore and doesn't have sex or get married. Remember, you will not give in or be into marriage in your new bodies. What kind of entity can't have sex and procreate and somehow lives forever with a spirit inside of it?
Computer program.
Exactly. A robot with your data inside of it. And your data is saved in the coming of the cloud. He's coming in the clouds with his book of records. What do you think is this book of records? And I'm sure people on here, the Akashic records, we know it's whatever they call history, whatever data they're saving from us, they're storing it in the void. Remember, Yahweh dwells in thick darkness is said twice. He lives in thick darkness in a dark cube, in a black cube, coincidentally worshipped on Saturn Day, and it's decorated with gold on the outside to look cool. This your info is going to be put in these new bodies of robots, and that's what they're going to use to keep people in the simulation.
Well, I'm gonna shoot
It's
the
told you from the
robots and
beginning.
resist the transhumanist
Yeah.
movement.
Well, I agree. I mean, yeah, I agree. Nothing's better than the real thing.
What
So,
would you say if I told you they're
but
already here and they have been for a long time?
We could be biological
I,
robots right now.
yeah.
wouldn't you say? They can talk to us through our optic nerves or our skull to tech. What's to say that we're not biological robots right now?
Yeah. And Yahweh tells you that you to take your mind out and replace it with the mind of God.
You are
Remember?
100%. Look, the Caduceus has the twisted pair of serpents
Yeah.
long before we apparently discovered DNA. The reality is everyone looks to the past as time exists. Like, number one, time is irrelevant and doesn't exist. It's a structure to measure something that you can't measure. It's a clock that's required for a simulation, just like your computer system requires a battery for a clock at its very fundamental. That's where we're in. That's what this is. We are part of a larger structure. So
Your
it becomes
your
obvious.
computer system actually requires a piece of quartz crystal for the clock.
The vibration of where the crystal, because you vibrate.
Well, actually, something that I only really learned recently, which actually in hindsight is pretty obvious, and it was an oversight on my part, but I think is simple enough to overlook and important enough to mention, which is the fact that you're exposed to the two differential elements for which comprise the which distinguish the polarization of in a pseudo Riemannian geometry, right? And this is why we have causal geometry, and it's not just four-dimensional geometry. It's a different kind of geometry with a specific kind of metric tensor with this particular type of signature. Anyways, the point though is that the elements, we have these interpretations. The difference in our the meaning of time and space is then codified by the Einstein field equations expressing the relationships between these differential elements. The causal relationship between a regulated change of displacement and a regulated change of duration. And so, for Einstein, it's like, yeah, so you have these measuring rods, and he was clever and came up with the photon clock. So he had very nice little, a very compact thought experiment, or a path toward feasible, like convincing yourself that you could feasibly, you can imagine a bunch of measuring rods, and then you can do the geometry, and you can build it up on this. But when you get into the thermodynamics of those two things, the measuring rods and the clocks, the photon clock is so highly idealized. It's just a thought experiment. It's not to say that the mechanism is somehow useless outside of the thought experiment, right? It's obviously not, but the photon clock is not the difficult part when you get into the weeds of the relationship between the foundations of probability theory, the Kolmogorov axioms of probability, which we're still using predominantly, and how those couple via the Born rule to establishing phenomenological and actually empirically meaningful theory. So anyways, the point though is that a fucking measuring rod or a yardstick is way more complicated than a photon clock. And because it's very irregular. It's just there are different kinds of regularity that are being introduced as idealizations of the same rank in this sort of the coarse sense of abstractness that we currently suffer with our meta logic. So addressing those things is and sort of making it more soluble into the primitives, and having the primitives more transparent, so that the process of integrating from the assumptions happening at the level of abstract yardsticks, and then passing to drawing conclusions about situations where we've mapped them to actual yardsticks. We don't want to miss something and get duped. So being like the sleight of hand of nature, like that's the stuff that I'm interested in here.
Can I throw in this really quick with you? I'm going to go after this, but I can tell you into science. I like it, but I don't know it as well as you do. But I was studying E equals MC squared for a very long time to understand what it actually does and how to apply it in reality. And the one and you can go on any chat GPT, Gemini, Grok, whatever you want to use.